Okay, hello my darlings. This is Miss Darling in the art studio today, and I'm going to be talking about repurposing old artwork. And I think it should be a lot of fun and probably something you haven't seen done before. Anyway, all links that are necessary will be in the description box if you want to check that out. And so let's get started. How is everybody today? All right. I hope everybody is warm, safe, and happy. For those of you that don't know, I cut my finger in the last video, and it's doing okay as long as I keep a band-aid on it. So if you're wondering about that, now you know. All right. This is an old art piece that I did probably 20-30 years ago. It's a mixed media collage piece. It's been sitting around in my art studio forever doing nothing. I never tried to sell it, not going to try to sell it, and so I thought, well, I should cut this down and use it for my junk journal business. And as it so happens, I can divide it in pretty much 4 equal parts, and they will be roughly 8.5 by 11, which is perfect for me. You can tell how old it is because I put some gold filament sheets on it here randomly, and a lot of the gold has disappeared. So good thing I didn't sell it to a client. They would be unhappy at this point. I'm going to cut this down. I've already pre-drawn lines to do that. And so let's get this one started. I'm going to take the exact blade I cut my finger with last time and use that blade, although I put a new blade in the knife. Oops. I forgot I had something underneath I don't want to cut. So just remember, when you use a sharp blade, concentrate and keep your fingers away from the cutting side, and use a metal straight edge. I know I'm off frame here a little bit, but let's hope I got I didn't go through hard enough, so we'll try again. Now, once I get this cut out, and you can see how cumbersome it's been, I'm going to show you an easier way to do it. But I thought we would work our way through the difficult process first. Okay, oop, still didn't get all the way through. This was done on watercolor paper, either watercolor paper or mixed media paper. And then when you collage on top of that, it can get fairly thick. So now you see I have one smaller piece and another smaller piece. And now I'll cut out the last one. And so I'm going to have the equivalent of 4 unique original masterboards that I can use in a multiple ways for my journal business. And maybe you'll even be able to capitalize on that in time. So here's the first one, the second one, the third one, and the fourth one. This one isn't as interesting as the others, so I'll probably do a little more to it. But on the other hand, having a piece that's not as busy as the others gives great opportunity to enhance it any way a person chooses, with ephemera or digitally or whatever. And so everything works regardless of how it turns out. Okay, now I'm going to talk about hopefully how to make this type of process easier in case you have artwork of your own floating around that you could repurpose into something more useful to you. So what I'm going to do is, I've got a regular piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock underneath an acrylic sheet, and I'm going to cut this acrylic sheet to the exact size of the paper underneath. That way I can use the acrylic. See, I think I'll do this side first. I can use the acrylic sheet to help me cut out other artwork, and I can place it down over the artwork and I can see through it, so it will really help me decide where I want to make my cuts without having to do any measuring. So this, I think, will be a very, very handy tool. And I don't know why I haven't made a large one in the past, but I was mostly focused on using this process for making smaller ephemera. And I do have a video on the channel already on how to make templates out of acrylic sheets, where to get them, and how to go about doing it. So, okay, now I've cut away the excess acrylic. I will use those for other purposes. And I have an acrylic sheet, the size I prefer to use for making masterboards or backgrounds, as some people call them. Now, all I got to do is get another piece of artwork. Okay, this one is a 12 by 12. First thing I'm going to do is just cut away this excess paper. so it's more manageable. I could set, just a regular sheet of paper down on top of this and not have an acrylic template, but then I'm working kind of blind and I can't see the image underneath, so I don't know if I'd want to make any adjustments or not. But with this acrylic sheet, I don't have to worry about that. Okay. So, the question is, do I set it up over here, or do I go over and grab this coin on the end and cut that one off? And I think for balance and composition, I think this one I like better than this over here. That's just too expected. And I like spreading the interest out. So here's where I'm going to make my cut. I'm just going down, right down the side of the acrylic template I made. I don't know how well you can see it on your device, but I suppose you can. It will be wherever it looks shiny. So I hope you can see how helpful it is to have acrylic templates if you're wanting to cut something out of a larger substrate. At least you don't have to work blind anymore. And these pieces I will save because I can use them for other purposes in the future. So there we have it. A new Masterboard background. And I think it has a lot of interest, and of course there's much that could be done because it is so dark. Whatever I would put on top or someone else put on top of it is going to need to be much lighter so you have enough contrast where it would even be seen. That's the problem with dark backgrounds, is there's less to choose from. I'm going to go around and just snip off and I will find some other use for all of this beautiful watercolor paper. So very little goes to waste in my studio. All right, now this will help me decide where best to make a cut. I could go over this way and cut off that part of that coin, or I may be able to just get all of it on. And this particular one, I am able to get everything just on. But do I want to do that? Or do I want to reposition this a little bit further into the work? So maybe I want to cut it there. I'm sure all of you are thinking about what you would do. And I think that I don't necessarily need all of these images to show up. And I'd much rather have the text a little further into the piece. So I'm going to make my cuts here. I, of course, could cut this a little bigger than 8.5 by 11, but my printer will only print 8.5 by 11, and I really don't have any use for cutting something bigger than that. I sliced off a small bit of my acrylic on that last pass, so, and I think I'm doing it again on this one. So that's one of the problems you can run into. And now I'll choose okay, let me talk about this a little bit. When you're deciding on your composition, it's always best to put your center of interest a little higher than lower. If you go lower, you run the risk of it feeling like it's going to fall off. And so it's always best to put a little more down below and raise your center of interest up a little higher. And then you don't have to worry about that problem. And just one to go. I'm putting my straight edge just a hair beyond the edge of the acrylic, so I don't nick the acrylic when I'm cutting, which of course I've already done a little bit of that, so you learn. And here is what the finished piece is going to look like, and I think it's going to be a very nice image to use. How, I don't know, but it could be made smaller to go on a journal page. I could make copies of it and use to cut out tags, bookmarks, postcards, or a wide variety of things to use as ephemera in my junk journals. And so now I have two mates, and I do have two more images that I will do, but not on camera. You see how I did these two are actually 3 images, and so I think you get the picture and you don't have to sit here and wade through all of that just to see the same type of thing being done over and over again. So with that, we'll call it a wrap, and be sure and visit my Etsy shop. I have a kit there of how to make templates for acrylic tags, postcards, and bookmarks. I have lots of kits there for ephemera and backgrounds. Everything is very affordable. So, if you've enjoyed this content, found it of value, I hope you'll subscribe, share it, give it a like, make a comment, ask a question, whatever you want. And I'd love to see your responses and answer questions. And please check out my previous videos on making acrylic templates. And I have video on how to make rich masterboards as well. Be sure and check that out. So that's it for this time. Miss Darling signing out. Have a great day. Bye.